The war had dragged on for years. Planets burned, ships vanished into black space, and entire species were brought to their knees. The coalition of galactic races thought it would be easy. Earth was small, young, and noisy. Too noisy, too emotional. They thought humans were disorganized, loud, and weak. So they came in numbers, with fleets so massive they blocked out suns. They demanded surrender. Earth responded with silence. Then the fighting began. At first, it was chaos. Humans lost cities. Space stations went dark. But something strange started happening. The coalition ships didn't return. Entire scout fleets vanished. Elite squadrons sent to finish the job never sent a signal back. The coalition grew worried, then scared, then desperate. And now, in the High Command war room deep inside the flagship Tyrzol, the alien generals gathered in silence. The chamber was cold, made of black crystal and glowing threads of information that ran across the floor like living veins. At the center of the room stood a massive table with a 3D model of the galaxy and the warfront, which now pulsed red near human territory. General Shirov, a tall reptilian creature with armor fused to his skin, slammed a clawed hand into the display. "This is impossible," he hissed. "We outnumber them 20 to 1. Their weapons are primitive. Their fleets scattered. And yet they are pushing us back," said Minister Kelra, her voice low and cautious. She belonged to the Virai, a race known for their psychic abilities. Her eyes, pale and glowing, watched the war map with unease. Their strategies change too fast. No pattern, no rhythm. It's like fighting a ghost. "They are not ghosts," another voice said sharply. High Commander Varul, the one who first proposed conquering Earth, stood at the edge of the room. He looked older now, weaker. His fur, once bright silver, had dulled to gray. "They are humans. Unstable, yes. Unpredictable, yes. But ghosts, no." Suddenly, the doors hissed open, guards turned, weapons raised, but the figure that walked in was not a threat. At least, not by appearance. It was a woman. A human woman. She walked alone. Her hands open, unarmed, wearing a black uniform with no rank or symbol. Her dark hair was tied back tightly, her eyes cold, unblinking, and she was already in the middle of the war room before anyone reacted. "What is this madness?" Shiroth barked. "How did she get on the ship?" "Kill her now," someone whispered. But she spoke first. "No need," she said. Her voice was calm, flat. "You would have already tried if it would have worked." There was silence. No one moved, no one dared. Kelra narrowed her eyes. You are not a soldier." "No," the woman said. "I'm the one they send when the talking ends." "An assassin?" "No." She stepped closer to the table. "A messenger," Shiroth growled. "You think we will accept surrender from your kind now? After all this?" She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You misunderstand. I'm not here to surrender." Kelra felt something shift in the air, a low hum at the edge of her mind. She tried to reach out psychically, to read the woman, but something snapped back, hard, like touching fire. She gasped. The woman turned her head slowly to her. "Don't try that again." Kelra fell silent, shaken. "You're bluffing," Veruel said, though his voice trembled. "No human could board this ship. Not without help." "I didn't come alone," she replied. "I came after we cleared your hangar bay. Quietly, efficiently. Your guards didn't even see it coming." A screen flashed suddenly to life. One of the security feeds showed the hangar, full of smoke and bodies. Alien bodies. "Impossible," Varu whispered. "No," she said. "I just used your own doors." "You will die for this," Shiroth spat. "You're not listening," the woman said, her voice rising only slightly. "I'm here to deliver a choice. Nothing more." "What choice?" Kelra asked. voice now cautious. The woman reached into her pocket slowly, and every gun turned to her, but all she pulled out was a small black cube. She placed it on the table. It lit up. A hologram bloomed, showing a map of Coalition space. Red dots appeared. Too many to count. "What are those?" asked Verrill, stepping closer. "Targets," she replied. "We're already in." The map zoomed in on one of the Coalition's inner worlds. A pulse, then silence. The planet winked off the display like a candle blown out. "That world is still online," Verrill barked. "It's not destroyed." "Not yet," she said. "But it will be. In exactly 9 hours. Unless, what?" Shiroth snarled. "Unless you retreat, fully, immediately. Every ship, every station, every outpost, leave human territory and never return. Or one by one, those red dots go dark." Kelros' hands trembled. "This is madness. Bluffing. She has no authority. She has no army." The woman finally looked up, and for the first time they saw the depth behind her eyes. Not fear, not arrogance. Something worse. Control. "You're right. I have no army." She leaned closer. "I am the army." Then she turned and walked away. No one stopped her. No one moved. The war room stayed frozen as she left through the same door she entered, as it closed behind her. Silence ruled until Verrill whispered, "We need to leave." Shiroth growled, "Coward. We are warriors." "Then tell me," Kelra said slowly, still trembling, "why can't I feel her mind?" And still, no one had an answer. The woman didn't run. She walked down the long, silent corridors of the Terzol, her boots echoing against the alien metal. She didn't look back. Didn't check the security feeds or signals. She knew they were watching her. Cameras, sensors, maybe snipers with trembling fingers, waiting for the order to pull the trigger. But it wouldn't come. Because something had cracked in that war room. And it wasn't just fear, it was doubt. A single doubt, the most dangerous kind, the kind that spread. She reached the ship's outer decks. The blast doors were open now, the hangar bay exposed to the vacuum of space. Behind her, the bodies of the alien guards still floated in slow motion. She stepped onto a sleek black shuttle shaped like a knife, silent as shadow. As she entered, the ship responded to her without a word. It pulled away from the flagship like a whisper and vanished into the dark. Inside the command chamber, General Shiroth stood shaking. "Track her ship," he ordered. A tech officer near the edge of the chamber said nothing. "I said, track her," Shiroth roared. "She's gone," the tech said in disbelief. "She, cloaked, no heat, no signal, like she was never here." "She was here," Kelra whispered, "and now the clock is ticking." A timer glowed on the war table. 8 hours, 57 minutes. Verrill stood still, staring at the red dots on the map. The display was locked now. They couldn't shut it off. Every world marked in red glowed with deadly promise. He turned slowly. "Find out everything about that woman. Now, I want to know who she is, where she was born, what blood type she has, what unit she came from, what she doesn't exist." The tech officer said. Verrill narrowed his eyes. "What? We're scanning every human intel source we hacked. Every database. Her face doesn't match any records. No ID, no military files, no genetic match." Shiroth bared his teeth. "Then she's a weapon." Kelra closed her eyes. "No, she's something worse. Far away, on the surface of a broken moon orbiting Earth, the woman stepped out of her shuttle. She was greeted by silence. No parades, no soldiers. Only a small child sitting on a crate, swinging her legs. The girl looked up. Did they listen? The woman didn't answer. The child frowned. "You didn't hurt them. I didn't have to." They hurt us. Yes, the woman said quietly. And they will again. The girl stood and walked with her toward a hidden door in the rock face. As they descended into a bunker, carved beneath the moon's crust, lights flickered on, revealing a massive underground facility, not filled with armies, not ships, something else, pods, thousands of them. Human-shaped machines stood in rows, their eyes dark, weapons built into their arms, armor fused to bone, silent, still, waiting. The girl turned. You told them the truth, right? That you are the army. The woman paused. No, she said, I lied. The girl blinked. The woman looked at the endless machines. I'm not the army. I'm just the first one they'll see. She walked past the rows of sleeping war machines, past glowing screens filled with alien language, all cracked open and rewritten with human code. Earth hadn't just fought back, it had evolved. Back aboard the Tyazel, panic had begun. One of the red-marked worlds, Telvarin, a fortified colony with a fleet of 72 warships, went dark. No explosions, no signal, just gone. A black circle replaced it on the map. Is it a weapon? Shiroth demanded. No impact, no energy spike. It's like something turned off the planet, the tech officer said. Kelra was pale now. I need to speak to the Conclave. We need permission to negotiate. There's no one to negotiate with, Verul said slowly, eyes wide. She said it. She was the message. What are we even fighting anymore? Shiroth whispered. And then, as if in answer, another red dot blinked out. Time left, 7 hours, 51 minutes. Across human-controlled space, silence was the strategy. There were no grand speeches, no ultimatums. Just precision strikes, each silent, each devastating. One alien world had its gravity flipped for 1 second, enough to tear the core apart. Another had its orbital defense AI rewritten to target friendly ships. An asteroid belt, once thought empty, suddenly turned and revealed itself as hundreds of hidden drones, camouflaged with stolen alien tech. The Coalition didn't understand how humans moved so fast, how they learned their languages, how they broke encrypted signals like toys. They didn't know that every soldier Earth lost had been scanned, copied, stored, and taught. Humanity had learned war from the best, their enemies, and now it was giving it back. Better, faster, smarter. Back in the bunker, the woman watched new orders flow across screens. Her face remained emotionless. But one message caught her eye. It was from someone named Mara. Only one word? Home. She didn't reply. Instead, she walked deeper into the tunnels, where something larger pulsed beneath layers of reinforced alloy. Not a bomb, not a ship, a brain. Human, but not. Built from the minds of the fallen. Grown in silence. Fed on anger. Trained in war. It opened one eye as she approached. The voice that echoed inside her head wasn't mechanical, it was hers. Permission to proceed. She nodded once. A dozen more red dots vanished from the Coalition map. Kelra watched in horror as her own homeworld turned black. The timer didn't stop. 6 hours, 20 minutes, and still falling. No diplomats came from Earth. Only silence. And in that silence, the galaxy finally began to understand. Humanity had been underestimated. Now it was too late. The Third World fell without sound. Its defenses were untouched. No battles were fought, no warnings given. Yet the planet's skies dimmed, communication blacked out, and every Coalition ship in orbit simply stopped. Like toys with dead batteries, every engine, every weapon, every shield shut off mid. By the time a recon drone was sent, the surface was covered in strange marks. Not damage, not destruction, but messages carved into the rock in perfect, ancient Terran English. You were warned. Inside the Teazal, fear was no longer whispered, it was screamed. Meetings dissolved into panic. War maps were filled with blinking alerts. Commanders argued, fleets abandoned their posts, and some ships simply fled without orders. None returned. Veruel tried to regain control. He shouted over the chaos, demanding silence, demanding discipline, but he knew it was collapsing. The fear of humans had become something worse than death. Uncertainty. They've infected our systems, one officer cried. Even our secure cores are being rewritten. They've hacked our encryption again, another shouted. They're reading our thoughts. Someone whispered. Kel Ra stood still in the center of the chaos, her hands trembling. She had never seen anything like this. No army, no siege, just pressure, unrelenting, constant, and then she felt it again. That presence, like someone had stepped into her mind. Wearing shoes made of razors, the woman. Even from this distance, galaxies away, Kelra felt her. She dropped to her knees. I need to speak with her. She gasped, or this doesn't end. Verua looked at her. You still think she'll talk? I think she wants us to beg. In the moon bunker, the woman stood before the warbrain, a living network of stored minds, patterns, strategies, voices that once belonged to Earth's greatest and darkest. I've given the final list, she said. The brain pulsed with light. 3 more targets. Yes, the ones who built the virus that hit our oceans, the ones who funded the slave raids on Europa, and the one who filmed the executions. The brain hummed. Processing complete. Orders dispatched. Good. She turned to leave, but the brain's voice echoed behind her again. You don't have to be the weapon anymore. She stopped, her jaw clenched. No, she said, but I still choose to be. A single coalition transport ship arrived in the neutral zone hours later, unmarked. Slow, small, a sign of humility. Inside sat Kelro alone. Her hands trembled as she waited in the blank chamber the humans had built for talks. It had no chairs, no comfort, no symbols, just grey, steel, and a single door. She didn't know what would come through it, but when it opened, it was her, the woman, the same face, same walk, same cold eyes. Kelra stood slowly. You didn't destroy us yet. No, not yet. Kelra tried to control her breathing. I came to ask, why? Because you started a war with us, the woman said, her voice like stone. You thought we were animals. You tried to make us crawl. Kelra nodded. We were wrong. Yes, the woman said. Kelra hesitated, then whispered, what do you want? The woman looked at her for a long time. You have 2 choices, she said at last. The first, leave. Every ship, every world. Abandon everything you've taken from humanity, never come back. And the second, you stay. Kelra swallowed. And if we stay, you die. All of you. Not today, not tomorrow, but one by one. From inside, from your own systems, your own minds. We're already there. Kelra closed her eyes. We don't know how to surrender. The woman took a step forward. Then learn. On the coalition capital world, the conclave gathered in panic. Ministers shouted, lords bickered, generals lied, but no decision was reached until, one by one, their screens blinked to life, showing images of every red dot world that had gone dark. Then one screen changed. It showed her, the woman, looking directly at them. You tried to erase us, she said. Now we are written into your walls. And then she vanished. And so did the capital's power grid. For 30 minutes, the heart of the coalition was in darkness. And when it came back, so many ships had already left orbit that their sky looked wounded, back in the bunker. The war brain whispered to her, "They're withdrawing. Everywhere, even from sectors we didn't touch." She didn't reply. "You did what they thought impossible," it said. "You made the galaxy afraid." She turned her head slowly toward the window, watching the stars burn quietly in the distance. "No," she said, "I made them listen." The brain pulsed. "Then what now?" She breathed out, "We watch." But peace was never easy. Far away, a hidden fleet refused the order to retreat. Led by a rogue general named Keltok, they launched a final strike against a human outpost near the edge of colonized space, hoping to reclaim honor, hoping to win something. But what they met was not an army, not weapons, not even her. They found a single satellite in orbit, a strange design, human but also alien. It activated, and the fleet was gone. No explosion, number, light dot, just silence. And across the galaxy, every race began to whisper the same words. She walked into their war room alone, and changed the war and humanity. It didn't cheer, it didn't celebrate, it just went quiet. Again, watching, waiting, like a shadow under every system. And the galaxy, finally, understood. You don't win against humanity, you survive it. She stood at the edge of the observation deck, staring at the galaxy beyond. Planets blinked like stars. Ships moved like dust. But she didn't smile, didn't flinch. The war wasn't over. Not truly. It had just shifted. Gone underground. The galaxy was quiet now, but not peaceful. The woman didn't believe in peace anymore. Behind her, the door hissed open. A man stepped inside, human, young, military, nervous. He cleared his throat. "Commander," she didn't turn. "Yes, the council. The new council," he said carefully. "They want you to come to Earth, give a statement, maybe. A ceremony." "No," they said, "the people want to see you. They saw enough." The man hesitated. "They think you ended the war." She finally turned. Her eyes were sharp as knives. "I didn't end anything. I just gave the galaxy a reason to pause." "But you think they won't come back?" she asked. "You think fear lasts forever?" The man didn't answer. She walked past him, slow and steady. Her boots echoed again. That same cold rhythm. The mistake wasn't that they attacked us, it was that they studied us before they did, and still decided to strike. The man frowned. "Why is that a mistake?" She paused. "Because if you stare into something long enough and still misunderstand it, that means your mind can't hold what it's looking at." He blinked. She kept walking. "They thought humans were weak because we cry, because we argue, because we break. They didn't realize." She turned, voice flat, that we build weapons from the pieces. In the deep black of space, near the old Coalition border, 2 patrol ships met near a forgotten station. One was from the new peacekeeping alliance, the other unknown. Their captains connected a visual link. The peacekeeper leaned in. "This is restricted space. State your purpose." The other captain was insectoid.com. Eyes unblinking. "This system was once ours. Not anymore." "We mean no harm," the insectoid said. "We came only to investigate a rumor." "What rumor?" "That she left." Silence passed between them. The peacekeeper narrowed his eyes. "She doesn't leave, she moves." "Moves where?" The screen cut. No answer. Meanwhile, on a small mining world on the edge of the human-controlled sector, a minor skirmish broke out. 3 alien raiders. Poorly armed, desperate, they came for food and fuel. But the settlement didn't panic. It didn't even raise alarms. One woman stepped outside, no weapon in hand. just a long black coat. The raiders laughed, until they realized who she looked like. Until she whispered one word, "Run." They did. No one saw her again after that. Just the imprint of her boot in the dust, and the 3 alien ships left behind, still powered, but empty. At the Central Command of Earth's defense network, generals met around a table in silence. They didn't celebrate victory. They didn't broadcast triumph. They analyzed. A new signal had been detected. Something old, something familiar. A code humans hadn't used in decades. But it came with one word, buried in the encryption. Awake. The woman received it first. She stood in a forgotten facility on Europa, where the ice stretched for miles. Below her, a vault opened slowly, hissing steam into the air. Inside, a shape moved. Another, she. Same face, same eyes, different voice. "How long?" the second one asked. "Long enough," said the first. "Are we at war?" "No," she said. "But we're not at peace. Never." The second version smiled, and for the first time in years, the woman smiled too. 2 shadows walked into the dark on the other side of the galaxy. A coalition remnant fleet sat idle. They had avoided Earth space for months, but supplies were low. Morale worse. A captain, young and proud, stood in front of his crew. "We can't keep hiding," he growled. "We have numbers. We have firepower. If we strike first, she'll come." Someone whispered, "She always comes." The captain growled, "Then let her. She's not alone anymore." Everyone froze. The captain laughed. "You think she has an army?" "No," said the voice. "She has herself." Earth's orbit was quiet again. Ships came and went. Cities rebuilt. Children played without fear. But high above, in a black, silent station, invisible to most, a group of women watched the stars. Each with the same face. Each with a different mind. Not clones. Not programs. Not weapons. Echoes. Created from her. Versions built for different wars. Different outcomes. Spread across space like seeds. They spoke without sound. One of them looked toward the center of the galaxy. "They're gathering." Another nodded. "We'll be ready." Another whispered, "They will never understand us." And the first, the original, finally said, "They don't have to. They just have to remember." And far away, in a prison the Coalition had once used for humans, now abandoned, one small light flickered on. A child sat in a cold room. Human. Alone. Crying. Then the door opened. She stepped inside. Not the woman. Not a soldier. Just her. The child looked up, shaking. "Are you gonna hurt me?" The figure knelt and said, "Never." Then she held out a hand. "Let me show you who we are." And the galaxy shivered again. Across the stars, the story of her grew. Not as legend. Not as myth, but as warning. Whole species told their young, "Do not cross Earth, or she will come." Fleets changed routes to avoid Terran space. Ambassadors memorized her face, though she held number, rank, flew, no banner, signed no treaty, no name was ever confirmed. Some called her the Ghost. Others called her the Echo. A few called her Death in Silence. But humans, they just called her her, and still, she moved. Unseen. Unstoppable. Unforgiven. On the fractured ice world of Veltran. Once a Coalition fortress, strange signals began to broadcast from underground ruins. They were old, pre-war tech, but the code was human. Investigators were sent. They never came back. When a second team arrived weeks later, they found a single word etched into the frozen wall. Still watching. Above the ruins, a satellite drifted, one not built by the Coalition, nor by Earth. It was new, silent, but when scanned, it returned the exact biosignature of her. Then it vanished in a deep chamber beneath Earth's surface. The new Terran command met in absolute secrecy. The room was sealed, shielded from every scan, every signal. Only the most trusted minds remained. On the center table, a report glowed red. Another echo activated. General Kasai asked. Yes, replied Director Hume, that makes 14. Where, not where, when. The room fell silent. Kasai leaned forward. She's manipulating time, Hume nodded. We don't know how, but she's seeding echoes into different branches of causality. She's not just protecting Earth in space, she's protecting it in history, Kasai whispered. What is she becoming? No one answered, because they all knew, not just a soldier, not just a warning, she was becoming the memory of what happened when you hurt humanity. And humanity survived. Out in neutral space, a new alien species, the Arvax, held first contact with humans. They were cautious, well-armed, highly advanced, but polite. The talks were slow but steady. Trust was forming. Then one of the Arvax diplomats noticed something strange in a data archive, a redacted file buried inside a human linguistic dataset. They opened it, just one image, her face. The diplomat flinched. Who is this? They asked. That, the human ambassador didn't smile, didn't blink. He said, that's the answer to the question you're too wise to ask. And the file deleted itself. Elsewhere, a rogue general from the old coalition tried one last attack. He assembled mercenaries, smugglers, and broken fleets. He struck a small Earth colony, just 30 people, hoping for an easy victory, a show of strength. He landed with force, guns, fire, drones, but found no resistance. Only one woman sitting on a crate in the sand. She had no weapon, just a black coat and a single metal cube in her hand. He demanded she surrender. She stood, pressed. The cube and every weapon on his ship turned, not to the colony, to him. The last image he saw was her face. Not rage, not revenge, just the quiet calm of inevitability. His entire fleet turned to dust. In 37 seconds, the sand of the colony never even stirred. In the quiet of the Red Line archives, where Earth stored the digital remains of every lost soldier, her voice was recorded again, just once. In a message, not for generals, not for command, but for future humans, who might forget. When they came for us, her voice said, soft and slow, they thought we were loud, chaotic, broken. They didn't understand. She paused. We weren't chaos. We were the storm after silence. Back on Earth, in a school buried deep in New Europe, children studied the stars. One child raised her hand. Teacher, she asked, was the war scary? The teacher smiled gently. Yes, but we learned. Did we win? No, the teacher said, we didn't win. Then who did? The teacher walked to the window, looked at the sky. She did. And far above them, a black satellite blinked once, a soft pulse through space. Not a threat, just a whisper. I'm still here. In the quiet stretch of deep space near the old war front, an ancient distress signal activated. It was human, but not from Earth. The coordinates led to a forgotten station, long thought destroyed in the early days of the war. Coalition records had marked it as obliterated. But now, it pulsed again. A single word in its signal, return. No one wanted to go. The coalition wouldn't dare, and Earth sent her. She arrived alone. As always, a small black vessel drifted through the dust, silent, sleek. It docked with the dead station as if it had done so 1,000 times before. No alarms, no welcome, just quiet. She stepped inside. The station was dark, frozen, airless, but she didn't need light to remember it. This place was where they first made her, where she stopped being just human, where she became the idea. She walked through the halls, past shattered walls and blood-stained steel. Old memories flickered in her vision, data imprints, echoes of past lives stored in her augmented mind. Here was where she died, and here was where she was rebuilt. And deep in the center of the station, it waited. The core, still pulsing, still watching. She placed her hand on it. A soft glow enveloped her, and it spoke, not in words, in memories. Pain, fire, blood, betrayal, rage, and then rebirth. Her, the first her. Before the echoes, before the silence, before the galaxy bent at the mention of a single woman walking alone, the system came online. Screens lit up. Data poured in. Old logs, old orders, old secrets. A face appeared. Human, male. General Adrian Voss, presumed dead 16 years ago. One of the architects of the survival protocol that led to her creation. His recording played. If you're hearing this, then we failed. But if she is hearing this, then we survived. She stared at the screen. You weren't meant to carry this alone, the recording said. You were meant to lead them, not be them. She didn't move, not even a blink. But if you had to become the whole war just to end it, I'm sorry. The screen went dark. She left the room in silence. Not a tear, not a word, but inside her mind, things shifted. Something long buried stirred. Back on Earth, multiple echoes began reporting anomalies. A signal spreading through the black, bouncing off satellites that weren't human, skipping through frequencies that had never existed before. A message, from her, but not to them. To herself. The echoes paused. One by one, across the stars, they listened. The message was simple. 3 words. It's not over. At the edge of a rogue system, an alien fleet waited. They had been watching, studying, not coalition, not allies. Something older. They called themselves the Velka. They had not joined the war. They had watched it. And now, they moved. They had no fear of her, because they believed in one truth: she was built for the last war, not the next. And so they sent a probe toward Earth space. It carried a gift, a weapon, biological, beautiful, deadly. By the time it reached the Kuiper Belt, the stars around it dimmed, not physically, not from light, from code. Something inside the void reached for it, cracked it open like an egg, and reprogrammed it in mid-flight. It landed softly on Pluto. Sprouted flowers, human ones. In their hidden chambers, the Velka screamed. How? One of them whispered the unthinkable. She's not reacting. She's adapting. In the deepest vault under Earth, Terran Command received a final locked transmission from the station she had visited. It decrypted itself on arrival. No key needed. The message? A star map. Not of human territory, not of coalition space, but of the whole galaxy. And marked on it, red lines, circles, crosses, predictions, movements, warpaths, but all starting from a single point. Her. She had mapped every possible threat, plotted them before they even appeared, built answers in the dark, planted truths in dead systems, and waited, not for orders, but for need. Now, the galaxy whispered again. She didn't win the war. She became the reason no one starts another. And out there, drifting slowly past a black star, a figure moved, one woman. No army, no fleet, just her. And now, she was watching something new. Because peace had ended. And she was already walking toward the next war, alone. The war she thought she ended had just been paused. She now walked across a silent battlefield. It wasn't made of metal or dirt. It was made of minds. alien minds, and one of them had dared to challenge her, not with weapons, but with something far worse, a message, delivered across 12 species communication networks at once. The woman is not a god. She cannot stop what comes. She is a myth. And myths die. The galaxy stopped breathing. The message didn't scare her. It bored her, but what caught her attention was who sent it. Not the Coalition, not rogue fleets, not the VEHL-KA. It was the Eclipse Assembly, a secret species alliance, older than Earth's entire space age. Ancient, unknown. They had never fought her, because they had waited for her to think it was over. Now, they moved, and she didn't flinch. She stood at the edge of a forgotten world, one she had glassed in a different war. A place so dead, even light bent around it, out of fear. There, she opened the war room, the real one. Not aboard a ship, not hidden in bunkers, but in her mind, a glowing room of impossible architecture, a place only she could access. 1,000 strategies danced in the air like fireflies, and in the center floated one burning word. Why? She stared at it, because even she had to ask. Why do they always test her? Why do they keep making her show them? She tapped the word. The lights shifted. A starfield appeared. But the stars weren't stars. They were systems. Each system had already been marked by her long ago. Back when she wasn't sure who she was, each system held a backup plan, a trap, a whisper, a failsafe, and all of them were now activating. On the Eclipse Assembly homeworld, alarms blared for the first time in 10,000 years. Vast data mines trembled as something slipped through their quantum defenses. Not a virus, not a fleet, but a signature. Her signature. Except, she wasn't anywhere near them. The signature was old. From a satellite they had stolen from humans over 50 years ago. Inside the satellite, a seed, one of her first ideas, now blooming. It didn't attack, it didn't destroy, it simply spoke. You were warned. Then every ship in their fleet shut down. Temporarily. Just long enough to make a point. Long enough for her to walk into the war room again. They summoned a council. 12 alien species, each more advanced than the last. Some glowed with energy forms, some wore robotic shells, others existed only as sound. She appeared among them, not in body, in mind. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't speak. She just looked at them. Her voice, when it came, was calm. Cold. You tested me. You lost. You tried to rewrite the rules. I wrote the game. One brave alien stood. Your war ended. We simply seek a new era. Her expression didn't change. Then why hide? Why poke shadows? Another voice, arrogant, snake-like, because you are one woman. She smiled. But it wasn't kind. That's where you're wrong. I'm what comes when one human is too much. The chamber shook. Not physically. Their minds, even protected by ancient tech, buckled under the weight of her words. Was no longer just a threat. She was a boundary, a cosmic limit, and they had just crossed it. She didn't fire a shot. She didn't send a fleet. She left them there, stunned in their own arrogance, and outside, the galaxy began to shift again. The Coalition reinstated her protocols. Planets, once afraid of Earth, now asked for protection. Even enemies began to copy her design, building echoes of her systems, hoping to survive what she might do next. And she vanished. Again. But rumors spread like wildfire. Some said she returned to Earth. Some claimed she walks between dimensions now. Others believe she turned herself into code, becoming the warning embedded in every human ship's AI. But all agreed on one thing. She changed the galaxy. Not with an army, not with bombs, but with the terrifying truth. One human, alone, was enough, and if she ever walked into a war room again, it wasn't to plan a battle, it was to end it before it began.